Hello. Welcome to the first episode of my unnamed podcast. If you have any name suggestions, drop that in the comments because we don't have any good ideas. What are we going to be doing here first? We're going to be revealing the co-host 15 seconds into the episode. You guys don't know who it is. I've had a couple friends ask me who it is. Reveal yourself. It's
What's
Cassidy.
like it's like no one would have guessed. Like, even if they knew me, they would not have guessed.
No, I don't think they would. I wouldn't have guessed that you would agree to be a part of this.
No, okay, listen. When I was when I told you to do it, I was like you and another person.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
This is what it's like being Zaiyou's friend, just
Yeah,
so you
so
know.
episode 1 of the unnamed podcast. Please do leave some suggestions, or else we're gonna name it something stupid like Zoo's Views or something. Not to be confused with
Hey, I'm
Zoo's.
fine with that.
No. Not to be confused with Zuzu's Reviews, which is my channel that I'm planning on making, where I eat chips and drink sodas and review them.
But ASMR.
I mean, I could. That's an option.
Do it. You know, you get a lot of
Welcome to my
cool
SMR
people.
channel. Today we're gonna be.
No,
Okay.
shut up, shut up.
Okay, so.
I can't.
Dude, we're off to a good start. First episode. First, first episode. We're gonna be talking about why we're doing this podcast. You know, where did the idea come from? What's the plan with it? What are we trying to get out of it? And what do we want it to
Well,
look
I mean,
like?
do you want the full story of do you want the full story of like why I suggested it?
Uh, yeah, we could do the full reveal. You know, we got nothing to hide here.
No. Let's just do a TLDR.
TLDR. All right, TLDR it for me,
Yeah.
Cass. Why are we doing this podcast?
Okay. TLDR is Zayu was sad one day, and then he said he didn't have anything to do. So I said, "Why don't you start a podcast?" as a joke, and now here we are.
Where all good ideas start as a joke, and then people say, "You know what? Let's actually do that." I think
Hey, I mean, this is how things happen.
that's how things happen. That's how spontaneous things happen, and how good things happen. You take something spontaneous and you kind
That's
of
true.
refine it a little bit. I think there are two
A
reasons
bit.
that we're doing this. Two reasons we're doing this. One is for like the personal side of things for each of us, or both of us rather, individually, and the second reason, to create something, right? So I think for the personal reason, I had a chat with Cass, and we felt like we need something to do in quarantine. This is recorded 2021, almost said 2020 because it feels like April 2020. All right, the 600th day of quarantine. And it's difficult to get social interaction going, right? Even if you're calling up your friends, video chatting, voice chatting, texting, gaming with them. In my case, there's some things you miss out on, right? It's not as common that you'll get into like deep conversations or serious talks, right? Most likely you'll just hit everyone up with how's it been going, catch up really quickly, and everyone's going to respond with the same thing. Still in quarantine. Nothing's
And I think it's
changed.
like also for us too personally, it's like we don't have that much time to catch up, just getting caught up in our daily lives, and that's just who we are.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like another way for us to just hang out, chill.
Yeah, and,
Stuff like
and yeah, have like a bit of a schedule to it, right? Or a bit of a
it's like yeah, it gives us it gives us an excuse.
yeah, an excuse to do something together. And on the other side of things, it's also creating something. For me personally, Cass jokes a lot about like, whoa, imagine if we had like 1 million subscribers and we had to do a meet and greet. Which I don't know why you're talking about that. Like that's only gonna happen.
No, you're taking it in a
No,
context.
she likes fantasizing
No,
about that
no,
kind
no,
of stuff.
no. There's a lot of context to this joke that I'm not going to go through right
Okay,
now. But
yeah, okay,
the joke,
sure.
okay, whatever. I understand.
But at least for me personally, I think it's fun to create, right? Even if it's not fantastic or it's not meant to be for the masses of having a bajillion views. Looking back on something that I've made and being like, I remember that. That's funny. I like that one. Is good. It's good. It's like a specific type of memory making, I guess, right? I mean, I've made
Yeah,
I don't know high school project YouTube videos and stuff, and it's private and no one else gets to see it, but you look back
Hey
on it on your
man,
account. Yeah.
hey man, you cannot like grade 8 French videos are like
Exactly.
a whole different tier, you know? Yeah.
Exactly. They're
Yeah.
disgusting objectively, but like it's funny, right? So, we'll post it. We'll leave it there for anyone to stumble upon, for our friends to listen to while they're bored in quarantine, and a big grand old time.
Yikes.
A little bit, a little bit yikes. Okay, so we've talked about why we're doing this podcast. Now, the fun question of what do we want it to look like? Now, I did not tell Cassidy, even though she's supposedly my co-host, the grand plan, because I don't have a grand plan.
Bitch. Wait, am I allowed to swear?
That was supposed to be a
Wait,
topic.
is this supposed to be...
Okay.
Wait, I just called you a bitch.
We're cutting topics now. Okay, YouTube monetization. Don't worry about it. We're
Okay.
we're not making.
Okay, fine. Okay, cool.
No,
Cool.
I think it's an interesting topic. I think do we swear on the podcast is actually an interesting topic, because on one hand, pragmatics, monetizing your videos. If you swear, listen, I'll be honest. I've not freaking read the YouTube terms of service, right? In terms of
Hey, no copyrighted music, and we're fine.
Exactly.
Don't worry about it.
We're not going to get DMCA. A lot more difficult to monetize. It's not child friendly or whatever, if you're swearing and stuff like that. But on the other side of things, there's a conversation to be had about the genuineness of the conversation that we're having if we're forcibly trying to censor ourselves. Right? I think the two of us, at least in our conversation with each other, swear a fair bit, and it feels natural, and to some extent, it's fun.
A lot.
It's part of the
A
humor,
lot.
right?
Yeah.
Is part of that meaningfulness lost if you're trying to censor yourself? Or maybe is it funnier that you're trying to replace swear words with like minced swears and like catching yourself and I can't say that for YouTube and making a joke out of it? What do you think?
For my own peace of mind, I would rather us swear, like mainly because it's like that's just who we are.
Yeah.
I'd rather not hide, but it's also like it would be pretty funny if we spent like one episode trying not to swear.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, maybe we should just do that.
Fair enough. Well, it wouldn't be this one because you called me a bitch like 2 minutes ago.
Nope.
There's my disposable income cap down the fucking drain.
Starting now.
Okay, yeah. I think that
My
makes sense.
bad.
I think that makes sense. If you haven't realized already, part of this first episode is deciding where we want to take this, except it's literally a discussion that we're having live, because why not?
We have not discussed
Yeah,
before.
we'd have to discuss it at some point, and at that point, like, why not just have it live and have it recorded? We're doing a podcast anyways, right?
Yeah, screw it. Whatever.
Exactly. Okay, so cussing
Okay,
it is.
so what's it gonna look like?
What's it gonna look like?
One
One thing at a time. Like, what's the...
Okay.
I gave you the prompt, right? A year from now,
Yes.
you have a lot of disposable income from our ad revenue
Yeah.
to set up your room however you like. Right, move out into
All right.
a studio.
Say less. Okay. Keep
What do you
going.
want it to look
We're
like?
dreaming.
Yeah, we're dreaming. What's the lighting situation like on your face? What's your mic quality
Alright.
like?
Better than this.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, very first, we are both vaccinated.
Okay. Yeah.
Second,
Factual.
we are still gonna keep things 6 feet apart. Okay.
Okay. Not
Who knows
comfortable
what's
with
gonna
contact.
happen?
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Nope. Nate, I don't trust you. I don't know where you've been, man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know. Kind of like if we're gonna dream big, I'd hope it'd be homey. Like not too uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like, essentially, we're still chilling out.
Yeah.
Like this isn't talk to a expert about so and so. Like
Right.
you don't know shit. So
No,
it's like.
I really don't know shit, actually.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah, we both don't. So it's like, what's the point of making it so like professional?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I think that would be my general like. Let's just make it homey,
Yeah.
like comfortable
Yeah,
to come in.
I think in a little bit, maybe like 5 or so minutes, we can talk about like podcasts that we like listening to or watching if they're in video format, and what we like about them, what we don't like about them, what we want to incorporate into this one, given the resources. If my lips bleeding, I can see it in my own camera. I'm so dry and flaky in this room. Not professional at all. Now you'll feel me self-consciously licking it like a.
I don't even remember what we're talking about.
No.
Oh, I do remember what we're talking about.
What do you want it to look like? I agree. I think we don't want to lose sight of why we started, which is just chatting. We don't know shit, right? And I definitely agree that, again, you're imagining a completely hypothetical, imaginary, utopian situation where if we actually had viewers that were watching this that like were not close friends of ours, I would want people to watch just because they enjoy the conversation and the vibes between the people that we have on the show, rather than coming in for the specific expertise of someone, right? When we talk about topics in the future, which I may or may not spoil in this first episode, right? But let's say one thing: learning during COVID, right? Ooh, I've spoiled the episode.
Yeah.
I don't want it to feel like someone's tuning in to watch me or you interview a university professor, unless it's one of our friends, like a professor we have a close relationship with, because we want an expert's point of view. It's just watching two ordinary people discuss their experiences and their viewpoints on certain issues, right?
Yeah, and I think it's like nowadays with quarantine and being isolated from most of your friends, it's like we've kind of learned that we all want the same things, right?
Yeah,
and it's like what I'm trying to say is like I forgot what I was gonna say. This is gonna happen a lot. Basically, I'm just trying to say that like we're all just looking for conversations.
Yeah.
Like we don't need to be talked at
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like we get that a lot from like, like especially last year, like the whole BLM movement, and it's super good, but it's just like it gets exhausting, like sometimes like sometimes you just want a space to make mistakes, to be heard, to be listened to, and stuff like that. So I think it's like I find that people now are just tired of being talked to, and they would rather want to talk with someone, if that makes sense. Yeah.
It could be attributed to the rise of social media and how interactions go on social media, right? Your interactions on Facebook are probably different than your interactions on LinkedIn, and even your interactions on Facebook have changed over the last couple of years, right? In grade 8, I was in grade 8, which if you don't know me and my age, you might not know how many years ago that was, but a couple of years ago, when I got Facebook, it was like every day I would log onto Facebook, wish everyone a happy birthday, right? And now it's like I see it
for sure,
right? Yeah, it's just changed.
Yeah.
The way that it works has changed, and I definitely agree that for me, I think definitely on maybe Twitter and Instagram are two of the major offenders where you feel very talked to rather than with, right? You're not DMing every single person on Twitter to have a serious conversation about serious topics like BLM or COVID, vaccinations. You're just, people are throwing opinions at you and you don't really get a chance to respond, right? Maybe they have a bigger
and
audience
it's like,
and they get 1,000 likes, and you can't really argue with that.
Yeah, and it's also just like when you're mentally exhausted, it's like you don't have the energy to sift through whether something is fact or opinion sometimes, It's like people mask facts into their opinions.
Yeah.
And then it gets all yeah.
I agree. I will say though, not every episode is going to be about serious stuff. The episodes with Cass and Zuzu
only the ones I'm on. Shit.
Click on the thumbnail. Cassidy's in the thumbnail, or within the first 10 seconds of the video, it'll probably be a serious conversation. If it's anyone else,
I am so sorry.
If it's anyone who's male, it's probably going to be about video games or something stupid like that. Because the rest of my friends are all like, we're talking about esports, and I'm like, okay. Only
because this is not a commentary on like sexes or anything. It's literally just
that's my
people
male
who are
friends.
interested in
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Guys in general, it's my guy friends who are all into video games, so that's where I meet all of them. Okay, cool.
Widen your demographic, Zuzu.
I should.
Holy.
I should. I feel like, very quick tangent. I feel like a lot of my female friends, when I started my friendships with them, we talked about things that were a little bit more serious, right? Or our conversations were just more serious. Yes. Thank you for that, Cass. Is that even true?
I'm just
Oh, wait, it was.
real.
I do remember.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
No, it started with TFTI.
Yeah, okay. Stop. You can't spoil the 1,000 subscriber special Cass and Zuzu reveal
That is
their past.
their depressing episode. I don't know.
It's a clickbait episode. But maybe, yeah, and a lot of the guys I met were just, we're talking about games and stuff, but I haven't, because that was like the first impression that we had, maybe we haven't revisited like our friendship and revisited our friendship while trying to talk about different topics, right? Every time I hit up this specific guy, we're always messaging each other about like, oh, did you see this match between these two esports teams or something like that? We never ask about, how what are your views on BLM? I have other friends that I talk to about that. Okay.
They never ask how I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They always ask how's my video game character doing. They never ask how I'm doing. Okay, so we'll move it on a little bit. One more thing I want to talk about before we talk about our podcast that we enjoy watching, listening to, and what we want to copy and do and not do. I want to talk about our styles in conversation, because you alluded to it earlier in saying, I forgot what I'm saying. You're gonna hear this a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And truthfully, although we've had conversations before, we have no idea what it's going to sound like or look like if you're watching this video post-recording.
Stupid. That's the answer. Stupid.
Okay, that's true. I do know it's going to be stupid, actually. That's a fact. But beyond that, I have no idea whether I'm going to watch this back tomorrow and be like, ooh, oh God. Fucking cringe.
This is the part where you're going to cringe.
Yeah, right? Maybe. And I have no idea whether it's going to be, like, the flow's going to be good. We're going to watch it back and be like, oh my God, Zaiyou did literally all the talking, and he interrupted Cass at every possible opportunity, right? So I want to preface it a little bit and be like, from our standpoints right now, how do we feel this is going to go in terms of conversation? I'll go first because I thought about it and I sprung this question up on Cass, so I'm not going to make her answer immediately. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Outside of our conversation and our friendship, I am quiet unless you strike up a meaningful conversation. In more recent years, I've been
true.
I describe it as having a low social battery. A lot of people know me from high school days when I was super talkative, super chatty, and super energetic and whatnot. And you can still see remnants of that if you get the right topics or catch me in the right mood. Right after drinking root beer, that's the mood you want to catch me in.
Root beer,
big fan.
Minus the root.
No, with the root, definitely with the root. I don't like beer that much. But in my friendship with Cassidy, I actually think she talks a lot. She goes on these long runs where she just monologues because she needs to sift through her thoughts, right? And she just doesn't have a safe space to do that. And what can I say? I don't even think she disagrees. I don't know why she's laughing.
No. It's true.
Yeah, see?
That's true. We will get to that through my answer. Yeah.
Do you want to answer now, or do you want me to keep monologuing to buy time?
No, you just keep going. Keep going.
Wow, she's still working on it. Okay. Yeah, so I am going to actively try to let her speak because otherwise I just won't shut up, because I also know that she has thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks.
Cassie thinks actually that she has thoughts that she needs to speak out to kind of solidify, right? Definitely, I would say a person that like benefits from monologuing until you realize your own point, and then you can really like solidify and be like, okay, this is what I'm really trying to get to, right? And if you're really overanalyzing, you can see that's happened like a couple times in the last however amount of time we've been recording, right? Yeah. Oh, I'll buy her a little bit more time by saying I also don't know. We don't know if we're having guests on, whether it's going to be a 2-person podcast, 3-person podcast,
This is
50
true.
million. I don't know.
50 billion.
Come on.
First one. We'll be the first people to do it. Fuck it.
Can't use Discord for that. Don't think they support 50 million, but yeah, we'll figure out a way. So
Facebook Live.
Facebook Live with live chat, people just typing random shit across the screen. So we don't know what the vibes are gonna be like, right? We gotta work on it a little bit, just do it and see whether between the two of us conversation dies out a little bit too quickly. Maybe there's too much being said and we both need to hold back a little bit because we keep cutting each other off, right? Who knows? Maybe if we both co-host and get a third person on, a fourth person on, maybe it's counterintuitively cleaner because we're all a little bit more reserved. We wait for everyone else to finish speaking before we jump in with a thought.
Too polite.
Yeah, exactly. Too polite, right? Maybe it works better. We don't know. That's gonna come with experience and asking random friends to come onto this show. That's unnamed, by the way. Please drop good suggestions. Cassidy, what do you think?
We were talking about this like literally right before we started recording. Like the only reason why I'm comfortable right now is because Zaiyou and I have been friends, like good friends for a very long time now. And I was about to say the meet and greet.
We've been going on about this
This
theoretical meet and greet that we're gonna have at some undefined point in the future.
No, I don't think it's gonna happen, but it's like, let's say it does happen, right? Like, I would be super awkward and super uncomfortable and like not at all how I am like right now.
Yep.
And like, yeah, and like honestly, even if there was another person here, like I'd probably be uncomfortable. Like that I didn't know.
Guess we'll find out. Well,
yeah, okay, that's true. That's true.
Maybe
That's true. But
you're co-hosting the show.
No one. Shit.
Okay.
Okay, but yeah, but like, I think Zaiyu's right. I do think sometimes, but no, I don't know. I'm just kind of like, I'm comfortable because we're friends. That's really about it. Yeah, I don't, like, in general, I don't talk a lot about myself. That's just who I am. And, like, so I feel like it's gonna feel like people know me, but then they're not actually going to know me, you know? Because, like, I have a lot of stories that I'm okay with friends, but it's like, it's not until you're, like, really, really close with me when you actually know. Feel?
Yeah.
So it's
I think that's interesting because, if you are watching this, God forbid, to find something better to do with your time, and
please, if you made it this far,
why?
I know.
Supporting my ad revenue, I guess. But
thank you.
If you're watching, I'm not splitting with Cass. I don't know why she's saying thank you. Good job. I think if you're watching this and you don't know us that well, you do have a very specific view of how we are as people, right? Because you're only hearing stories that we're sharing, but maybe we're only sharing it because it's under the veil of anonymity, right? And it's like, it feels like it's the internet, whatever. It's like random people watching it. They're never gonna know our life stories. It doesn't matter if they hear this very specific, embarrassing story. And that's probably very different than how you would think of us as in real life, right? I definitely don't have a facade as to how I want to act on this podcast. Quite the opposite, right? We want it to be genuine. But at the same time, if you don't have the context of knowing us since we were 12 or something like that, you don't get the full picture. So I think it'd be interesting just imagining what it would be like for a complete stranger to watch 50 of these episodes and be like, oh, this is what I think they are like as people versus what we're actually like.
Actually, that would be interesting.
Yeah,
it'd be funny to put out a survey and be like, what do you think we're like actually?
YouTube polls, you see them all the time for the algorithm.
True. Yeah, but like about having a low battery or like low social battery.
Yeah.
Same. Like you could like me and Zayu are friends through Frisbee. If you asked any of our mutual friends, like Cass, she's awkward and shy
Yeah.
until until you ask certain people who like actually know me, you know. But
And what
like
would
the
those people say?
weave.
Okay.
But like I mean, I'm not even gonna be ashamed about
Just
it.
fucking
But like
expose yourself. Episode 1. Okay.
I mean like I'm gonna make a reference sometime soon. You
Yeah,
better
yeah,
just
alright. I'll write it down on the topic list. We'll talk about anime in like 2 weeks. Alright, let's just jot it down. Cass is
I was gonna say let's
ugly.
bring someone on, but I don't know if she wants to, but like it'd be funny.
You were thinking
I'll tell
ugly.
yeah. Well obviously I don't know if she wants us to say her name. Shit.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I think if you just heard that out of context, you would have difficulty spelling out what I just said. And also, that's not the name,
I was
so
like
it's like a nickname.
I don't know if he or she wants to
Yeah. Hey, cut
shit.
the. Can we get an editor in here? Can we just snip the last like 25 seconds? But
Or
yeah,
just bleep it.
bleep it.
Yeah.
Damn, you're really gonna make me learn editing for the first episode. Speaking
I mean I
of,
could. I know how to edit.
I actually do know how to edit. Carissa
Okay,
knows how to
okay.
edit.
There you go. Who's Cursa?
A mystery human being may or may not be on the show. We don't know. Completely
10
unknown.
10K reveal.
10K
10K
reveal.
reveal.
Yeah, 10K subs will reveal who Carissa is. Speaking of that, some quick points on the like logistics, physical tech that we have laid out in front of us. This is a pretty shitty setup. We've got
Yep.
black bars above my head, below my head. We got no visuals other than our beautiful faces. Honestly, the lighting's actually a lot better than I expected. I quite like yours because it's natural. Mine's like completely. I mean,
I mean, it helps that it's snowing.
it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. It's yeah. I have no
Yeah.
windows, so it does help that it's snowing.
You don't?
Not in this room.
Oh, shit.
No, I have the windows in my apartment. This is a
No,
you can see.
I
All
meant
the
in
walls.
the room you're.
You can see all the walls. And there's only one in front of me, and there's no window in this one. So, no, unfortunately not. It's a tiny space here. So if it looks spacious, I've arranged everything correctly, and fooled you.
I'm just gonna continue not saying anything.
I've lost my train of thought because it was too funny. Microphones.
Windows.
No, not Windows. It's not the
Oh,
point. No cat. The overarching
Set up,
point
you're
was
set
not
up, you're
Windows. The setup.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll work on it. We'll work on it. Cassidy, I'm gonna gift her a mic in the near future. Hers is honestly better than I expected.
thanks.
But you know, we'll
LXPS. Invest.
yeah, invest. That's what I was looking for. We'll splurge a little bit on tech. Webcam. I like the fact that your webcam is not as clear as mine, but it's just blurry enough that it is almost like like the beauty filter they have on like Instagram or something. Like it just like blurs things a little bit and it looks like everything's all smooth. Yeah, mine you can see the crust on my lips. I literally saw that my lips were bleeding on camera.
I
Which is,
mean,
hey, I spend money on this camera. At least it's in 1080. But
hey man, you gotta do what you gotta do. Man.
do what you gotta do. Yeah. I also don't know when I'm recording this, like it compresses the video file a little bit, so I don't have a 5 million terabyte upload.
It probably will, or like when you export it.
Yeah, when I export it, we'll find out. If you can't see my
Yeah.
lips bleeding, leave a comment.
I mean, I can't.
No, well, okay, I've licked it
I
out by
can't,
now.
so,
It's
like-
like my lips have healed, but
No, but I didn't when you said it. I'm
really?
saying.
I thought it was. This is pretty red. Look. Anyways, all right. So setup will work on. If Cass is cutting out, you know, watch the ads. That
So
I will
sorry.
not have on this video, but in future videos, we'll buy her a mic with the ad revenue.
It's also like I'm not saying anything. Like I don't have golden nuggets of wisdom today, so like it's fine. So
I think we can squeeze some golden nuggets of wisdom out of you. That's strange. I'm not sure.
I mean, we could.
I'm never gonna say that again. That's
But-
weird.
but not today.
Okay. Now let's move on to the topic that I said we're going to talk about in 25 minutes ago, which is podcasts that we've listened to or watched. I quite enjoy watching podcasts. And what stylistic elements we enjoy from them, and then maybe what we want to try to incorporate here, don't want to incorporate here. And you can talk about anything. I'll let you go first this time. You can talk about the vibe between the people on the podcast. You can talk about their physical setup, right? Whether it's in a studio or something like that. You could talk about the production quality. You could talk about the topics. You could talk about whatever you want. Tell us a podcast.
So I don't really listen to a lot, but the ones or like the three that I do listen to is I like listening to Tyler Belly, so like Bobby Lee is a comedian in the States. I like listening to David So's podcast most of the time. And like this rapper named Dumbfounded. Those are all generally people that like I grew up watching on YouTube, like back in the day, like 2012. So it's just like, I don't know, it's like, it feels like they taught me a lot of things just because their whole, like, I guess their whole philosophy is like not all Asians are like submissive and blah 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 blah
Okay,
blah,
yeah,
that
okay.
type of thing. It's like, yeah, and it's like the way I grew up, which this will probably be a different episode, but like the way I grew up, I was like raised very differently from a lot of my peers. So like helped, because like basically my mom was like, I'm not going to raise my daughter to be somebody who takes shit from people,
Yeah.
basically.
Good
And
parenting.
it's like peers none of my peers were raised like that, partly because a lot of them were first generation.
Mm. Hmm.
So it's like the whole like you can't talk back to teachers,
Right.
stuff like that. Can't
Right.
talk back to adults, but I definitely have. Those are also probably different stories for a different time. But it's like, yeah, so I found like, or it was nice knowing that there were other people like that who were older, who are on YouTube, but like just knowing that they existed basically is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
like I like listening to them. It's like listening to people that like were mentors, even though
Yeah. Relatability
they have the
and
personal connection.
relatability and life experiences, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, and also like mostly conversations. They're just people just fucking around having fun, right? It's not like I'm listening to learn anything. I'm not trying to be an intellectual while listening to podcasts, but like, yeah, that's who I like listening to.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't listen to a ton either. I think I've got three as well, actually, but my three are in vastly different fields. One of my favorites, maybe my favorite, is Off the Pill by Ryan Higa, RHPC, whatever. Um, but I think the reason I like that is because I grew up watching him as a YouTuber, and so I was already familiar with a lot of the personalities, right? So to
That's
try,
like the same.
yeah, yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. For you as well, you kind of watched them on YouTube, since 2012. Same with me. I watched Ryan Higa since literally since '07. I was like what, a year or 2 years
Yeah, and like
ago.
Kev Jumba.
Kip Jumba,
Yes.
yeah, when he was featured on some of the episodes. Relating it back to I think this one, honestly, in terms of views and garnering an audience, this is an absolutely terrible format to try and get people to see it, right? Because we're not sticking to like a theme, like a topic. We're not talking about something every week, right? We don't have any expertise in it, and we're not inviting any expert guests, for in the foreseeable future. And so
Also, we don't have an existing fan base.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what we're lacking, right, critically compared to Nigahiga with 10 million subs on YouTube, is you don't have an existing fan base. So in that scenario, it's, I would say, easy for them to have a stable audience for the podcast because people come for their personalities, right? Just for them as people, no matter what they want to talk about. Whereas obviously here, who the fuck cares? Dude?
Yeah, it's like honestly, we're just trying to have fun, man.
Maybe my mom will watch this and leave a nice comment.
Not even.
Not
Like
even.
not this far into
Yeah, not this far into it. Watch the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, she's gonna see your face and then be like, "Oh, my son," and then
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, 15 seconds into the video. She's not even waiting for Cass's co-host reveal.
no,
Um,
I don't care.
Yeah, so that it's difficult, but it's okay because we don't care. That's not the goal.
No.
If that was the goal, it'd be a bit of a struggle. Doesn't matter to me. It'd be
Okay,
very
hold
cool.
on.
Yeah, okay.
If that was the goal, how would you have approached it?
How would I have to like get a viral
If our
podcast?
goal, yeah, if that was your
Ooh.
goal.
Okay. I'm an ambitious individual, Cass. You can't ask me a question like that and expect me to not have a serious plan for it. All right, let me lay it out for you.
Okay.
If I wanted to grow a big podcast, it would most likely not be this style of podcast where I talk about anything because, again, we've established you need an existing fan base, right? Otherwise, no one's going to come and listen to you talk about a variety of topics unless they're coming for you. The easiest way to get at least a stable audience is to have an audience that's coming for a specific topic. The only things I'm knowledgeable about, maybe debate, a little rusty on Ultimate Frisbee, maybe, and esports or like video games, right? So
Dude, imagine. Wait, sorry.
Frisbee.
Imagine both of us, or like, imagine I was still your co-host, but it was about debate. I would just be like, okay.
But that would be an interesting dynamic. That'd be a very interesting dynamic. You'd have
Would
to,
it?
Yeah, you'd have to tweak it a little bit. It'd be awkward if I was saying stuff and you didn't understand. But it's always an interesting dynamic having someone who's an expert in the field and someone who's not, right? There's videos on YouTube that are like an expert explains quantum physics to a kindergarten or something like that, right? Like
Oh yeah.
it's in my opinion interesting to watch someone with expertise in a domain break it down for someone who's completely lost in a way that's understandable, right?
Yeah.
But back
We're
to
the laymen.
in layman's terms. Back to my plan. I would probably start with a pretty niche audience, probably in like esports or something. I just talk about some video game stuff because there's one or two games that I'm genuinely knowledgeable around.
Minecraft.
No, well, no, I'm not. The worst tangent of all time. You started with a good question for me, and now you just.
This is the dynamic. This is the
the
dynamic. We're gonna have a plan for the topic, and it's just a tangent
Listen,
the whole time.
I'm knowledgeable about Minecraft as a game, but not enough to create a podcast on it. I mean, I could, but it wouldn't be the plan. And if I wanted to eventually,
Hey, Zoocraft, teaching people how to do the music blocks.
that'd be like 2 episodes max.
You would get a following, like a little one.
Yeah, all of like 13 subscribers or something. Yeah, I think I would build myself up from there. Try to get onto some larger podcasts. I say larger, but we're still not talking, multi-million view podcasts. We're talking niche podcasts within the
100.
the community. Yeah. Yeah, a couple hundred views.
100 views. 50 views.
Yeah, and then kind of work your way up as a personality in the scene, in this case like the esports scene. Try to get on some of the bigger ones, and then once you have a bit of a following, break off and try to do something on your own, right? If you had to break down the YouTube algorithm to a science, I think that's how I would approach it. I quite like that question from you though, with like, how would you do it if you wanted to be famous?
Yeah. You know how I would do it?
How would you do it?
I'd just give up. I would think about it and be like, it's too much work, and then quit.
This is why I dragged her into being a co-host, because she wouldn't do it herself. Anywho, the other 2 podcasts that I really enjoy listening to, one is Plat Chat, which literally 0 people will know about unless 6 months down the line there's we were getting consistent 500 views and 2 people decide to go back to the first episode and listen to this for nostalgia's sake. It's an esports.
Yeah, but then they'd have to. I don't think they'd last this long.
No, they'd have to sift through the first 35 minutes of shit. So, yeah, you're probably right. A man can dream. And it's one about esports, and I really like the production value of that one. I really like the production value. They have a producer that actually worked in production for like the competitive scene of some esports, so they know how to make things look pretty in terms of like a digital display, right? So I think they record it over Discord as well, which is what we're doing now, but they have it so that they have 4 people typically, like 3 hosts, co-hosts, whatever, regulars and a guest, And whenever they have visuals come up, so let's show gameplay of this clip, not only do they have it like switch to that screen and then show the clip and then back to the faces, they've added little animations where the faces kind of slide to the corners and then you have the clip in the middle, stuff like that. I think that adds a nice little touch, and that's stuff that'd be good to learn in the future. Something I like about Off the Pill from Ryan Higa is the studio setting. I think in an ideal world, I would want a studio setting and just invite people over.
Yeah, same.
I'm completely okay with the online format. I think it has fantastic advantages. Namely, you don't have to go anywhere and it's convenient for everyone in the comfort of their own homes. But in terms of the atmosphere, I don't think anything compares to everyone sitting in a room around a table and having a discussion with the mics and headphones in person, right? I'm a college student. I don't know where the fuck I would find a studio for people to come and record podcasts.
The den you're in right now.
It's all of 3 people. But yeah, that's an ideal case, right? And the other one I listen to is Vox, Today Explained.
All right.
Yeah, which is a very popular one, but that's a completely different format. That is not conversational at all. They have conversations, but they're in interview format, right?
That's more like journalistic views,
probably, it's journalistic,
right?
and what's the word I'm looking for? Like, not explanatory, but debatably objective.
Information.
Yeah, informational. Yeah, informational.
Yeah.
So it's very well researched.
Like even though like I'm fully aware that like a lot of their stuff is biased, as everything is, like one that I really like that's canceled now is like Vox Borders, and that's when they talk about all the different countries. I was like, oh, thank you. Might be totally inaccurate, but I think it's interesting. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I listen to that obviously for a completely different reason than I listen to the other two, right? The other two are for enjoyment. It's topics I enjoy. Vox is like, that's in some ways it's my daily news source, right? To have a 30-minute chunk of someone explaining something to me. I will say though, Vox, that's another approach to getting an audience, right? For them, it's not a specific topic, but the fact that they pride themselves on being very well researched. Yeah, I know Vox is pretty, not super, but like pretty left leaning. Not completely at the end, but yeah, I'm trying to remember. There's like a chart of like all the journalism sources lie on like the political spectrum, pretty left leaning.
Yes.
But it's journalism. It's objective. It's not objective, as a news source.
Someone's gotta. Yeah, it's like somebody's gotta appeal to the leftists.
Yeah. So you know what I mean. Asterisks beside the objective. It's journalism.
Yes.
Yeah. So because they pride themselves on being, having a journalistic approach rather than just a conversational one, people are drawn to that under the guise that it's objective journalism, right? Or at least that it's a trustworthy news source, right, with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a tangent question for when you're done.
Sure, hit me.
Or do you want?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so is this a touchy question to ask? Okay, so on your your political views, not that you have to say it, do you think if you lived in a more conservative area, you would have been conservative? Or do you think to your core, you are more like the people that we live around?
Yeah, right. So, do we want to talk about this now? I'll give a
maybe not.
No, because I think not because I'm not comfortable, but because I think there's so much to delve into. I genuinely want to leave this for an entire hour-long conversation. Very briefly, I think it depends on whether you're factoring in access to internet. But even then, there's a huge discussion because I have no idea whether when I see things on the internet, whether I'd be convinced by it or whether I would see someone if I was in a conservative, very conservative neighborhood area, whatever place, and saw online comments that are left leaning, whether I would be like, oh, that's disgusting, right? Like I don't know. So I will leave that for another time. I think jot it down on the would my political.
I have another question for that. Maybe I should write that down.
What's my political orientation?
Like, how affected are you by your living areas? I don't know.
How broad is it?
Because, like, obviously, yeah.
Family
Or, like,
living
how
area,
true to you?
neighborhood living area, Vancouver, BC, Canada, Western liberal democracies, North America.
I'm gonna say Western democracy. Actually, no, let's say BC. Because obviously, the people you meet from Winnipeg
Yep,
to Ontario
yep,
are completely
yep,
different,
yep,
right?
yep, yep.
So I would say, like, province wide, more or less, you're on the same page. You know, like people in BC compost, people on the
Right,
East
right,
Coast don't.
right.
So like,
I
yeah,
would put myself as I think I'd be optimistic in saying that I'm in the middle, or like the as the average BC citizen in terms of the political system, or
yeah,
orientation spectrum rather.
yeah,
I'd probably say BC on the global scale, very left leaning actually globally. Like if we're being brutally honest with ourselves and compared to like the extreme views on both sides of the spectrum, probably quite left leaning.
yeah.
However, as much as I would not like to, put myself like, first episode, I'm actually a libtard. Um, but honestly, if we're comparing ourselves to, having generational differences with our parents, any older citizens that are not our parents within our province, we're probably quite a bit more liberal
Left.
than them as well, right? So,
Yeah,
in truth, like, although I've never thought about this question in terms of labeling myself, like honestly, compared to the people around us, probably very, very left leaning, and especially in the grand scheme of things, like worldwide, probably very left leaning, if there was an
same.
objective measure for it. Yeah.
Yeah, like sometimes I'll see. Is this gonna get too political? I don't know. Sometimes
Probably.
I'll see. Yeah, sometimes I'll see like people calling AOC a socialist,
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, see.
and then I'm like, if she's a socialist, then I am
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
too.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's an
Yeah.
interesting point just because of the a lot of people have talked about how the entire spectrum of the United States. Obviously, we live in Canada. We're compared very often to the our neighbors south of the border. Their political system is literally the entire thing shifted to the right. Like you take the most left leaning,
Yeah.
high ranking politicians in the U.S. and it's like that's pretty close to the middle in Canada, right? And that's a very interesting conversation in my eyes. But I don't want to talk about it because in this episode, one, because it would big topic, but two, I would want to look into the political system of the states a bit more. I'm
Same.
somewhat knowledgeable about it, like just in terms of following the elections, because obviously it impacts us. We're very close to the border, close trade
We
countries
are a
and whatnot.
port city.
Yeah,
Yes.
Vancouver's somewhat important in the grand scheme of things in
Yes.
Canada, at least. But if I were to have a conversation about trying to overlay American politics on top of Canadian politics, I would definitely want to look into it more and
Oh,
listen
I
to a
for
little
sure
bit
don't know
more. Yeah, I
enough.
don't know shit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I would listen to a little bit more of what AOC has said and think to myself, actually, where would she fall on the Canadian political spectrum? We'll see, right? As
True.
opposed to compared to our
But
American counterparts.
yes, yeah. But what I will say is I forgot what I was gonna say.
Nice.
It was I know. I said this is gonna happen a lot. Here we
Yeah,
are.
here we are. We aren't liars. There's that.
Nope.
All right. Okay. Well, this has gone on a wild tangent. Who knows what we're talking about?
My
So,
bad.
okay. Let me interject with something here. Okay. I was considering, what's the best clickbaity title that we could come up with? That's obviously not actual clickbait, but like, the all caps title, the interesting stuff of what we're going to talk about. And I was thinking
Oh,
to
I
myself,
remember what I was gonna say.
okay, go before you forget again in 5 seconds. Hurry.
I was gonna say, I will take the time to say whoever's listening this far in, Canada is not perfect, and we are not nice
No.
people, and we have hidden in our politics too. Okay, that's it. That's what I was
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
say.
We're definitely gonna go. Canadian politics is all
It's
politics
a
can be
kind of a
heinous.
yikes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I truly believe that any country you go to, if you really want to delve into politics and history, is it's gonna be nasty. But we'll tackle one issue at
One
a
hundred
time
percent.
when we get to it.
Yes.
Thankfully,
Yes.
I think the two of us, in the grand scheme of things, more maybe not educated and knowledgeable, but I want to say a little bit more aware of issues with the Canadian government and their actions in the past than maybe the average person. And whether that's because of our friend
Or
group.
like average people for our age.
Sure.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we will have some, nuance to what we're talking about when we get to that eventually. Who knows when?
But we will not be experts. We are not
Do I look like I'm an expert
study
at
this
anything?
at all. Nope. I'm in design and Zaiyou is in business. So
Yeah. We're such business
yeah.
addicts. That's part of a little bit. Anyway, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I was thinking, back to the title thing. I originally was thinking I could come up with a couple topics we want to talk about. That would be the title. And then I try to direct the conversation during the podcast with what I wanted to talk about. But you know what's way more fun? Just saying random shit and then listening to it after you've recorded it and being like, title. Cass talks about childhood trauma. Favorite fruit.
And then politics.
Yeah, politics, right? This is not exactly adhering to the plan that I had for the day. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad, right? Like, genuinely, you don't know until you listen back to it. Dude, will I feel like one
No.
week from now the perfect vibes? It was just the right amount of tangential conversations. I really like the back and forth between the two of us. Or will I think about this 10 minutes after we're done recording and be like,
Like, what the
ooh,
fuck?
oh, that was nothing like the plan. That's disgusting. We need a much more structured format, right? Who knows?
Okay, coming back to one of the questions though. If we're gonna talk about our dynamic and you don't want to have a lot of tangents, you're gonna have to like steer me a lot because I only tangent. So
We are really bad at staying on topic collectively. I don't think it's just you or just me, because
even when we're having personal conversations, like we will joke and then we will go on with the joke for 10 minutes and then come back to the serious conversation.
I thought that I was the one always going off on tangents. I did not think that you were going to say it yourself. But truthfully, as a
No.
cohesive unit, we're pretty freaking awful at staying on topic. We just tend to.
This might be, I guess this is inside joke E, but like the last time we called each other to catch up, we talked about two very completely different things.
That's usually how it goes, yeah.
One, yeah, one super serious, and the other one way more fun. And then something unfortunate happened, but it all worked out in the end. So,
Yeah,
but
that's
yeah.
usually that is usually how our conversations go. A little bit of trauma, a little bit of
Yeah, it does.
sadness, suppression, and then some good news, silver linings.
Yeah, and then big hug, the good news. Yes.
Metaphorical hugs.
Guys, if you're
Metaphorical
if you are
hugs.
listening, didn't understand any of it, and that's probably a good thing.
Probably a
So
good thing. Yeah, I'm just coming to realize that if you had actually listened this far in, there's zero value that you would get out of this first episode. What are you taking away from this? Other than laughter, a good time. Still gonna post
but
it.
even it's kind of trickled in with some serious topics still,
Couple.
and this is why I'm in charge of the serious topics.
Yeah,
I guess.
Sure, right, of course, that's definitely why. Cool. Part of the conversation we had before starting this today was, we have no idea how long this is going to run for because we have no experience with trying to put structure to our conversation, right? I know I've had conversations with Cassidy lasting like 4 hours long over like Facebook Messenger, like as in a call or something like that. But that wasn't structured and it wouldn't fit this type of format, right? With trying to kind of have a cohesive piece that you're talking about in a podcast.
Cohesive is a stretch.
Cohesive is it's optimistic, yeah, to say the least.
Yeah.
So we don't even have a timer stopwatch. I was supposed to have a stopwatch. I forgot to start it. For how long this is going to run for, because I feel like that's just the type of thing you need to figure out from experience, right? I said this to Cass before we hit the start button. I have no idea whether after 25 minutes we'll run out of things to talk about, and then we'll need a 5-minute break, and then we'll pick up again. My internet just cut out for a second, and I froze. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
My heart stopped. Don't worry. Post-production, we can cut things however we want. This is 2021. We're basically was gonna say like God himself when it comes to like technology, but that's not quite the joke I was going for. Basically, omnipotent when it comes to digital editing. Or at least Carissa is. 10K subscribers will reveal who she is. Lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, the vibes. We're talking for.
Yeah, and it also depends on the person, right?
Yes, depends on the person.
Like some people are really good at talking, but once they know it's recorded, it's over.
Yeah.
So you never know. Yeah.
We don't know if we're gonna have one guest, two guests, right? Yeah, we talked about how we don't know whether the vibes are gonna be different. So
Because I think like continuing this on, I think like we're both super like our dynamic is very unique to us.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yeah.
it's easy for us to talk for a long time, right? Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna know.
Yeah. Who knows what it'll be like when you add a third piece? Chemistry. You don't know what the third reagent does. Okay. Well, we have two options here, Cass. We can go on to talk about the the topic that I said we could tie into, depending on how this first conversation has gone, the first few topics have gone, or we could wrap it up here and save it for another day. Because I'll be honest, I don't even know how fucking long we've been recording for. Looks like about 50 minutes, but I'm not sure.
Honestly, you know, we could talk about it, but that is a big topic in itself.
Could be.
Because it's a big umbrella term.
Yes.
Because that topic to you is very different for me. Because I am in a creative visual
true.
field, and you are in a more brainsy.
You just love blue ball in the audience, just not letting them know what it is and skirting every word.
Well, I don't know if you want me to tell them.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll save it for another day. We've kind of figured out, at least for today, 15 minutes is where the conversation lulls a little bit before we'd have to forcibly insert another topic. But that topic's too big. We don't want.
But did we lull it on purpose though? Because I think we could have kept talking for a while.
Okay, but that's an interesting conversation, right? We could have. But at a certain point, if you cover too wide a variety of topics, why not just make it 2 episodes, right? Or is there a better way to section it off? And that's just, I don't know.
Like today.
I don't know until I watch it back. Maybe I'll watch
it back.
Dude,
today we talked about like...
everything.
Yeah, today we talked about like 3 different things on the topic of what makes a good podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And we didn't even answer the question of what makes a good podcast, because we have the focus of a
You're right. Relatability. That's my one-word answer. Relatability.
I give you that word. It's not even your word, one word.
No, you didn't! You have not.
Okay.
I literally thought about this when you told me.
Okay, we're arguing. Forced content. Disagreement. Discourse. Okay. Well, you know what? We'll wrap it up for the day. An idea that we had for the future, we could also just record for like 5 hours straight and just cut it off into like a bunch of different episodes if we're on a roll. But we'll down the line. This down the line.
Dude, the 5th hour is just gonna be crack hour. There's just gonna be people listening to an hour of crackheads.
You're very optimistic and thinking it would take 5 hours to reach crackhead status. I think maximum after 1.5, it's just quality's just going down the fucking drain.
This is true.
Okay.
This is true.
Well, we'll wrap it up here. We'll do, I think, the next episode with still just the 2 of us. We're not going to be a little bit too ambitious and try to invite more guests on first. We do have a list of fairly serious topics that we want to talk about, and we'll actually have a bit of a structure. God forbid next time, because this was this one, episode 1. It's a glorified hour-long mic test.
Hey, it's pretty good for first time, I would say.
Cass cuts out every once in a while because of her mic pickup volume, so I'm glad that she thinks it's going great.
It was pretty good for the first time, I would say.
It was pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
We had something going for an hour there, Okay, so look forward to our first real episode where we actually talk about things that matter. and are not related to our personal experiences with podcasts. But if a single person, if one singular human being has made it through this hour-long shit show of a fucking podcast, God forbid, leave a comment. We'll like, favorite, heart. You're our number one fan. I don't know, e-transfer you 25 cents for the mental trauma you had to suffer through or something. Thank you.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
Thank you for joining us in the first episode of the Unnamed podcast, which might I remind you we need a name for.
And we don't have a sign off either, so it's just going to be awkward.
Yeah, we don't have a sign off. I could just cut it.
I don't mind doing the.
I could literally just cut it. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna stop it now. I'm gonna watch it again, and I'm gonna pick a point where it seems funny to abruptly cut it, and that's gonna be the end of the podcast.